I wanted to talk about Strikeforce first. For people out there who are not MMA fans, they've put together a tournament format with all their heavyweights. First of all, do you like the idea? Because I've seen a lot of griping that it's not really a tournament and the championship belt is not up for grabs. The positive side of it, though, is that they have all these heavyweights and they finally found a way to force them to fight each other.
Yeah, I mean, I guess some people are going to gripe about everything, and we can always, pick little nits and say we don't like this, we don't like that. I wish the title was at stake. But the bottom line is, Strikeforce has a really interesting heavyweight division, and they're putting the guys in the cage and going to make them fight. And I think there's a potential for some really good fights. The seating seems to be a little bit odd to me. Some of the ways they've seated these guys, but. Bottom line, I think, we want to see Fedor Emelianenko in the finals against somebody. And this tournament seems to guarantee that we're going to get to see Fedor fight 3 times in a fairly short period, which has been rare recently. So, no complaints about that. And I say 3 times, assuming, of course, that he's going to win the first 2.
What they did from a seeding standpoint, you could argue the top 3 seeds would be Fedor, Overeem, and Fabricio Verdum, who beat Fedor. So if those guys are 1, 2, and 3, they put Fedor against Antonio Silva on one part of the bracket, and the 2-3 matchups in the other part of the bracket. So the 1 against the 2 or the 3 will probably meet in the semis. So that's what people have complained about. Now the other story here, I don't know if you saw it this morning. They had a press conference, and Fedor and his camp were very vocal, sort of Mayweather-like, in saying we want to make sure that there is very stringent drug testing in this, because first round we're facing a guy who's already been popped once in Antonio Silva, and maybe in the finals on the other side of the bracket is Josh Barnett.
And certainly you also have Overeem in there, that there's been a lot of talk. If you just Google Overeem and look for some of the pictures of him, you're going to see just a huge difference in size in him over the years. So, but, hey, I'm all in favor of that, and, I just don't like fighters demanding that. I don't mind that them saying, hey, make sure we have the stringent drug testing in place. Great. I think we should abide by all commission rules, and that's certainly what New Jersey is going to do in the first round of the tournament. I just hope that it doesn't become an issue, Steve, that forces Fedor out of the tournament. I mean, his management team is wacky, and they've managed to find ways to get him out of fights and get things to not happen. And I hope this isn't some kind of way to get out of the tournament, because he's in. I think it's great for the sport of MMA. Certainly it's going to be really good for Strikeforce, a lot of positive attention for them. So, I hope that everybody takes their drug test, and I hope everybody passes their drug test, and we have a legitimate good competition.
I have a sneaky suspicion that there is going to be some stuff that happens, and I do think they're going to have to manage that. I think the first problem they have to manage is Barnett and his California deal, because the guy now, he's still suspended by the state of California. He's in the tournament. He's not in the first card, which is February 12th in New Jersey. He's going to fight in March, but he's going to skip his hearing to get relicensed. I don't know. I look at it from California's standpoint. If they were so stringent and, balls to the wall on the rules with Antonio Margarito, I think they're going to pull the same thing on Barnett. What do you think?
It would seem that way, because he's a multiple-time loser. He's shown disdain for California and their rules and their process. So it seems to me that he's going to be treated fairly harshly. But one of the problems, Steve, is that we don't know what New Jersey thinks about New Jersey and Nick Lumbo. They're not talking about what they think. So, is New Jersey going to have that next fight? I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that it was going to be in New Jersey. Maybe it's not. But wherever they go, whatever commission, would be relevant there, if Barnett, hasn't completed his deal with California, how are they going to view it?
Right. Kevin Iole with us, MMA and boxing expert. We're getting ready for the UNLV game in a couple hours. You can stick with us next 2 hours. We'll be talking a lot of hoops. Got some NFL to get to as well. One last thing I wanted to mention. So we have a big event coming to town, Super Bowl weekend. Super Saturday is another UFC event. Let's go back to the last event. What was your read on what happened with the ticket sales? Was it card-related? Was it timing? Was it Vegas economy? Because in the end, the UFC, I think the report was, 12-7, and a lot of those tickets were comped.
Yeah, I think it was 6,000 tickets sold. Steve, you and I did a video on this. I think it's Vegas economy, and Las Vegas has just become a terrible place to hold a fight right now. Even UFC, which has been doing the best, we detailed all those great boxing matches that happened in November that were in Las Vegas that did lousy attendance. And I mentioned on that video that we did, and I'll reiterate it here, that Las Vegas just right now cannot draw and cannot support big ticket price fights. You know, there's a lot of people that are hurting, and that particular card did not do particularly well at the box office. And, you know, I think you have to really look and say that Las Vegas now is just a terrible place to put on a fight. I mean, the economy is just so bad, and people are having a hard time that you're not going to be able to succeed to a large level with the kind of ticket prices you have to put on. You know, at a UNLV basketball game where people can just pay, you know, $25, $50, whatever the ticket prices are, that's one thing. But when you're asking, you know, several $100s for one ticket, that makes it very difficult.
Well, I think it's you have to be very exact with what you do, because you had the boxing cards, those 3 boxing cards in November and December that couldn't even eclipse 5,000. The highest attended fight was 4,900, because you can see what happens. This card on Super Saturday, it's a mix of great card with great fights. Super Saturday, you know, there's already people here for the Super Bowl. So that event, just a month later, with the same promotion, is nearly sold out, if I'm correct.
Well, we'll see how many people actually, you know, bought the tickets. How many, you know, I mean, because that's one thing we don't know. They talk about things are nearly sold out, but it's not until we get that box office report. You know, they announced the attendance after 125, and it was 12,000, whatever. And, you know, say, hey, not a bad attendance, until you actually see the report and you say, boy, they didn't sell as many tickets as they've been selling before, and the gate wasn't nearly as legit as previous gates were. So, I mean, I think we have to wait. You got to view it skeptically. My point right now, Steve, is I think, you know, that UFC's home base is here in Nevada. They're going to continue to promote in Nevada, and I think they should. But I'll tell you, you know, boxing promoters coming here, they're going to cast a very wary eye at putting major shows here, unless it's the biggest show, like a Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather fight. Those guys fight, then you can put it anywhere and it'll sell, and it certainly would sell here. But you're going to have trouble selling anything other than the absolute biggest shows in Las Vegas for the foreseeable future.
All right, Kev, very good spot. We appreciate it, and we'll pop you on next Wednesday if you have some time. And obviously we'll get into the not only the UFC stuff and the Strikeforce, but also the big boxing towards the end of the month at the lovely Silverdome. Looking forward to that.
I appreciate it, Stephen. Hey, if you could just give a plug to our new online magazine, thepostgame.com, Yahoo Sports. I did a piece on Bill Walters on there, and so just hope everybody can check that out at thepostgame.com.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.